and its body is golden yellow and black. The majority of you may be thinking in bees. However, did you know that there is another insect that can also work with honey? The insects I am talking about are honey ants. They are less famous than bees, however, they can also work with honey. The first time I got in contact with these insects was last January, when my mom's cousin took us to his ranch and I tried them for the very first time. I got so impressed by the flavor of the honey that I wanted to know the process these ants follow to get the honey. After doing some research and asking my mom's cousin some questions because he has been in contact with these insects almost his entire life, I discovered that honey ants get honey in two major steps: honeydew collection and honeydew deposition in the replied ant. And the first step, before to begin, I would like to explain two basic concepts that I'll be using during the entire speech. The first concept is honeydew. The honeydew is, according to John Crower, is a clearly sticky liquid left behind on plants by some insects. Then, the second concept is the replied ant. In the honey ants colony, there exist two types of workers. As you can see in the image, the smallest ant is a common worker. The larger is a replied. They are bigger because they are in charge of storing the honey in their bellies. And they normally don't go out of the nest because their bellies are so huge that they cannot move. Therefore, they hang from the ceiling of the nest, waiting for the common workers to bring them honey and food. Now that we know these basic concepts, we can go to the first step, which is honeydew collection. In this step, honey ants have two methods of collecting the honey. The first one is using aphids. Aphids are those small insects that you probably have seen in plants. These insects eat honey of the plants, or the liquids of the plants, which is normally sweet. But they normally eat more than they need. And the liquid that they don't use are collected by the common workers. The second method is picking honeydew directly from the flowers, just as bee does. However, this method is not common in honey ants because they cannot fly from flower to flower. And plus the fact that they live in desert zones where flowers are not common. Once the honeydew is collected, ants move to the second step, which is the deposition of the honeydew in the replied ant. This step begins when the common workers go back to the nest and locates a replied. Then the replied opens its mandible wide and starts to deposition the liquid drop by drop. Then the liquid is directed to a bag called the crop in the honey ant's replied belly. There, the liquid is not digested because the replied ants control the amount of honey that comes to its stomach so they can feed themselves. That is how these insects ended up looking like small marbles. As we have seen, the process that honey ants follow to get honey is not complicated. Some ants go out of the nest, collect the honeydew, then come back and deposit it in the replied ant. For me, these insects are very curious and interesting because the fact that I didn't know that honey ants, that bees, are not the only insect that can work with honey. And I think that Mother Nature imagination is so creative. Let me finish by saying some quotation said by Richard Phillips, which is, I think nature's imagination is so much greater than us. She's never gonna let us relax.